BC. Hope you're doing well. I'll turn that down a little bit. How is everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a bit of a old school vinyl finds video today with some recent arrivals, things I've had over the last 3 or 4 months, which is exciting. I'll turn that down a little bit. Playing this wonderful, wonderful record in the background, The Expanding Universe by Laurie Spiegel. An absolute favorite of mine. This is the Unseen Worlds reissue with bonus tracks from a few years ago. Fascinating. Wonderful. I've got a bit to get through, so I'll kind of get through these in a timely manner. Alright, so I guess where do we start? We'll just dive into it, really. So this is a record that was recommended to me by my friend Ben. This is Valentina Magaletti, and it's called A Queer Anthology of Drums. Now this came out, I think, in 2022 and sold out pretty quickly, and this is a repress from this year. I love this record. This is amazing. It kind of blew my mind when I first heard it. She is an Italian drummer and was in a bunch of bands, notably Vanishing Twin, who pretty sure I might have seen them back in the day, but I don't really remember. But she is an amazing, amazing drummer and percussionist. Everything that I have listened to online has been, I haven't heard everything, but everything has been quite different. All kind of drum and percussion focused, but coming from different sort of angles. Like one album is more of a kind of a free jazzy kind of drum sound. This is probably an easier entry point. Just a lot of textures and different types of drumming and lots of synth lines to keep you interested. Absolutely fantastic. A Queer Anthology of Drums. This came out on Permanent Draft. I really like this. If you like my channel and what I show, I can highly recommend you would love this if you don't know it already. Here we go. And thank you to Ben for recommending it to me. Super cool. Next one also was a sort of recommendation. This is Paul Dresher, and it's called Channels. What's it called? Night Songs, Channels Passing / Study for Variations. Now, this was sitting in a local record store for 10 New Zealand dollars, and I've seen it a couple of times before, and I was sort of curious, but I never picked it up. And then I was watching about 6 months ago one of Alex's Motor 24/7's videos, and he was digging at a store somewhere in California, and he was flicking through the bins, and I saw that there, and it sort of caught my attention a little bit more. So I decided to check it out, and I really enjoy this. Paul Dresher, I think he is a native of California, basically, a composer. It's hard to describe what I would say. This is definitely sort of a avant modern classical thing. Kind of sounds like Steve Reich, but with more variation and a lot more choral work in it. If you like any of Steve's Reich work, this will be right up your alley. Definitely very interesting if you see it cheap. I quite enjoy this. It's quite good. Paul Dresher. I'm sure someone in the US would know more about this guy. I would quite enjoy this. It's quite relaxing and moves through different sort of themes and spaces quite beautifully. The next one I'm really excited about because I'm really, really loving it. This is a 2024 release and came out in May last month, called Lagash. Now this is Alastair Galbraith in a trio format, an artist that I'm a really big fan of from here in New Zealand. This is really wonderful and really fresh. It feels kind of like a new start or a new touching point for Alastair. I kind of lost track a little bit of the more recent stuff, and I kind of stopped buying some of the reissues because I felt like I kind of had a bit of a handle on what he does and what he sounds like, but this kind of really grabbed my attention and kind of blew me away a bit. We've got Chris Hazelwood on drums, who's amazing. He is of King Loser and Cash guitar, and guitar work by someone called Jackson Harry, who I hadn't heard of up until last year when I went down to the Lines of Flight Dunedin Festival and I saw him playing with Roy Montgomery, and I was really impressed. So yeah, it's a trio record. The track to check out is called Lockdown in Lagash. It's just an absolute drone jam. Really great violin work. Almost sounds like the Dead Sea in parts. But yeah, I love this. I'm really happy with it. It'll be up there with one of my releases of the year for sure. So Alastair Galbraith, Lagash. Super cool. Speaking of Roy Montgomery, I of course grabbed the long overdue reissue of this record here, Temple 4 by Roy Montgomery. Originally came out in 1995 on Cranky. So this is a lovely repressing 2LP set. They've done a wonderful job of this. Lovely shimmering guitars, beautiful layers and drifting sounds. The one reason I really wanted to grab this is because it's a track that I've loved for years called Jaguar Meets Snake, and for me that's the absolute sort of, I guess, standout highlight on this album. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I've kind of been on a bit of a Roy Montgomery renaissance in the past 6 months or so, mainly after seeing him down in Lines of Flight last year, and I've been trying to track down the Scenes from the South Island reissue for a normal price. It now goes on discogs for a lot of money, so yeah, I'm just keeping an eye out on discogs every couple of days. Anyway, please check this out. Yeah, really wonderful. If you kind of like, yeah, I guess droning, spacey, beautiful guitar work, very minimal. Very talented and very special musician. That's that. Couple of other New Zealand bits and pieces. I managed to get this here, the Max Block. This is a EP that came out in 1986 on Flying Nun. Had been on my radar for a long time. I remember seeing copies when I was in Melbourne going for a lot of money, but I got this for a really cheap price. Look at that fantastic cover here. The easiest way to describe this would be sort of like snotty, sneery, post-punk kind of thing. But what is of note is I think this is the first appearance on vinyl of Brian and Mary Rose Crook, who went on to be in The Renderers. And I do already have this, but this is their first album, Trail of Tears, which I revisited earlier in the week on Flying Nun. But it doesn't sound anything like this. But this is them early on. Sorry if I'm just going the wrong way around. There we go. Yeah, I guess you would say it's just a really strong, really good, bit rough around the edges, post-punk. All right, who can I thank for this one? Dom at Seeking a Thread got me back onto Windy and Carl in a big way last year, and this was the album that I really gravitated towards. I almost bought an original copy a few months ago, and then I noticed that this has been repressed on Cranky. So this is Windy and Carl Consciousness. It did originally come out in 2001, and this is a repressing. This is an absolutely wonderful record. Drony and spacey and just, really shimmering. A really big fan of this one. So I feel very lucky that I only discovered this album in particular last year and only had to wait a year for it to be repressed kind of thing. I'm sure there's many people that have been waiting for this to be reissued for a long time. Super cool. And also for you free jazz fans, you may recognize that this is a very, very similar copy of the Archie Shepp, The Way Ahead. There we go. Yeah, wonderful. You can probably see where my listening has been at, you know, in the last few months. I guess you've got a lot of ambient and dreamy guitar sort of pieces. That's just where I've been at. But I did kind of mix it up a bit, and I finally got a copy of this record here. I don't need to say anything about it. I will say that you should go and watch Vinyl Richie's review of this album. Very entertaining. I managed to get a copy of this from a friend that was selling it, so I got this for a kind of a fraction of the price of what it goes for on SST. This is an original copy. I kind of got back into Firehose again last year, and it kind of made me think I really should get a copy of this record, because I used to listen to it on CD in my teens kind of thing, and I hadn't listened to it much since, and I was kind of surprised how much I could remember this, considering it's a double album, and there's lots of short tracks, but you know, I can't say anything about this album that hasn't already been said. I think it's quite divisive. Some people think it's a masterpiece, some people think it's a load of rubbish. I really like it. Is it a masterpiece? It's pretty damn good, I'll say that. Minutemen, really wonderful. Alright, we've got a couple of reggae bits and a couple of jazz bits, and then I'll be out of here. I was selling some stuff at a record fair a few weeks ago, and a seller, someone I know, was selling a copy of this absolutely classic Studio One release. This is Johnny Osborne, Truth and Rights. Really, really hard to find these days. This is a weird Studio One Jamaican pressing. I won't show you the label too much, but it sounds fantastic. I'm really happy with it. Very low quality print job on here, but yeah, this is really, really fantastic. Recorded in 1979 and released in 1980. Johnny just returned back from Canada and put this out. The songs can be quite political, but it's also very song-based and catchy and tuneful at the same time. Not an amazing singer, but just the way the songs and the music is crafted is really, really beautiful. This is a kind of one of those, a classic reggae record. If you don't know it, definitely check it out. Truth and Rights on Studio One. And the other thing I picked up is this amazing Pressure Sounds compilation called Drum Sounds. Now, this has been on my want list for a very long time, and it's got quite expensive. Now, this is the original 2007 pressing. I didn't realize it had been repressed last year, so I probably paid a little bit over for this thing, but I'm really, really happy to have it. It's a top shelf Pressure Sounds compilation, really. It's called Drum Sound, and it's basically a compilation of stuff that came from the Channel 1 studio by the Revolutionaries, who were Sly and Robbie and a backing band. And the Channel 1 studio is like kind of known for having a really killer, heavy, dry drum sound to it. The drums always sound massive and thunderous, and this is a comp that kind of really, really highlights, I guess, if you like dub, but with really heavy drum. The drum sound would be the easiest way to put it. Just really thick and heavy dubs. Also a lot of, I guess, dubs that I haven't heard before. It was all felt very new and refreshing to me. Just heavy killer stuff. Check this out if you don't know it. Drum Sound, fantastic. All right, so what do we got here? A couple more. I picked up a nice original copy of this record here. I did a really silly thing where during COVID I ordered an original copy of this and his second album called, I think it's called A Safe Home or A Safe Return, can't remember, and it got cancelled because due to just COVID, everything was a mess. The guy decided he didn't want to sell them anymore, and since then the prices have kind of doubled and tripled. So I bought the reissue of this really cheap at like a 50% off sale, and I got it, and I know this record really well, but I just wasn't satisfied with the reissue. I felt like I did really want an original because it'd been on my list for a very long time. It may have even been a Chris Cole recommendation from many years ago. Anyway, so I finally pulled the trigger, grabbed a copy of this from a seller in the Netherlands. The cool thing about this is you can't see this here, but there's a little sticker on this which says, order this LP by mail by sending 20 NF or check to Ronald Snijders, and it has his address in Holland on it. Which is really cool. You probably can't see that at all, but it's got Ronald Snijders' address on a sticker. But yeah, what is this if you don't know it? The cover should say a lot, really. Ronald Snijders was born in Suriname, and this is a flute. It's a really interesting mixture of like spiritual flute playing and funky jazz fusion playing. It's really unique and really beautiful. The album is called Natural Sources. So yeah, please check it out. I think this is a fantastic record. His second one is more funky. I don't have it, and it's now a crazy expensive triple-digit thing on discogs. But I'm a really big fan. I do already have his third record here, Black Straight Music, which I bought quite a few years ago. This is definitely more of a hard fusion kind of thing, and probably my least favorite. But yeah, really happy to get this and tick it off. I think this is a really beautiful record. One more, and it's a killer record. This is the Matthew Halsall album from last year that I think won a whole bunch of awards. I had been sort of on and off wanting to buy this, and I finally pulled the trigger. It's called An Ever-Changing View, and this record is really fantastic. For me, it could be my favorite thing that he's done. I must admit, I kind of lost track the past few years of the things he's been putting out, and I kind of dismissed a lot of it as kind of being more of the same. But this kind of feels like a whole new, fresh thing. Absolutely beautiful. And it's very hard to describe, but it feels like, I don't know if I can, it's like, imagine a spiritual jazz thing, but everything is like nothing stands out. Everything is kind of like, there's lots of small little rhythms and things that build into each other, and it's really hard to describe. It's like a minimal spiritual jazz record, or like a spiritual jazz record, but really technically well composed, and the instruments really delicately orchestrated and balanced together. Like it kind of, that's probably how I would describe it. It's absolutely killer. Check out the track Triangles in the Sky. I think this could be my favorite release of his. I did pull this out to listen to because I haven't heard it in years, and that's one of my favorite ones here. This is Fletcher Moss Park. But yeah, really wonderful. It sounds amazing. Wonderful pressing. It's on a clear vinyl thing. You probably all know who he is, so I don't need to say too much about that. Fantastic. An Ever-Changing View by Matthew Halsall. So that's kind of a bunch of stuff. Hope you're all doing well. That's about it, really. See you soon.